All right, peace and black power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, the place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born Allah, and I'm with my brother, chief priest of Henensu tribe, warrior, high priest. Uh, Aankhu Benu is in the building, and we have this African Liberation Talk series, and we're going to be dealing with the topic of uh, proper salutations to the ancestral forces and promotion for the upcoming show this Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Kukin Radio. Peace, my brother.
Peace, peace, peace. What's good, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. You know what I'm saying? Working on my tan out here with all this rain still. You know what I mean?
No worries, brother. You're melanated, brother. You're melanated, brother.
Oh, that's
Work.
what's up.
The rest of
Man.
us got to work for it, obviously.
Word. What I found, just looking around at venues in particular, gatherings where African people are. Um, I'm more of a traditionalist, so going to places and speaking engagements where Africans are gathered, where we have three or four different generations in the room. I had grown accustomed over the years to certain kinds of protocol, and one of the major protocols I saw, but I no longer see today, is when we gather together for salute to our ancestors, salute to our eldership, asking for permission to speak from the elders, and celebration of the youth that's there. So I know our culture and tradition is how we operated, period. Even under the most austere conditions, we still uh, ask permission, from our elders, from our ancestors before we proceeded, and even invoking the names of those who have made the transition. And I know for a fact that this is something you begin your program with. So I wanted to be able to see uh, what was going on with that, as far as as we look forward 2017 and beyond. If there's some way, some instructional methodology you could kind of give us in the ways to bring that back.
Okay. Definitely. You know, what you see, or what you hear me do, what you see me do at events, radio programs, as far as beginning. I always say we want to start things off in the right order, keep it in line with the divine. And we begin, by first and foremost paying homage and saluting rank. And from there we go down down the hierarchy, in accordance with the worldview and the cosmology that our ancestors laid down. So, this is very important because it speaks to real community, real organization, and the understanding of family, the understanding of community, and social order and hierarchy and respect from an African cosmological worldview. So in our worldview, our community, our family does not, solely include those that, are here, physical, flesh and blood, but it also includes those that are, have gone on to become ancestors and those that have yet to be born. Okay, our community, our family includes those people. And it also includes the forces of nature that we refer to as the Neteru, that we refer to as the Orisha, the Loa, Abosom, so on. Um, and then after that, after those forces, or even beyond them, I should say, Neter or Nebejer, whether we refer to it as Ra or Amun Ra, Ogo Dumare, Ama, okay, Unkuru, regardless of the respective tradition, there's always the one, okay, that we say this one divine being is what we all come from. It's the source of everything. Okay, it's intrinsic to everything, and we salute and pay homage to it. So, that's the beginning with the one, and then forces, the natural, then the ancestors, then in rank, beginning with the elders or the chief, the chiefesses, queen mothers, beginning with the hierarchy in the community, elders down to our own elders, our mother, father, those that are in our immediate family. We salute in that way, and that's to make sure that every individual that is present that has forces, with them. I don't know if you've ever attended a let's say a native ritual, let's say or even an indigenous Native American ritual. When you're coming in, before they begin anything, you walk in into the corridor and you say, right, and you acknowledge and salute all of the forces, everything that's coming with you, everything that you come from and that you're a result of. Salute it because we want all positive forces in agreement and in alignment with one another, so that come together to do, so the forces are in agreement, and they will assist us and empower us to accomplish what we came together to accomplish.
So you, excuse me, you mentioned a ranking system and proper salute from highest to lowest. And so, which point in that system do you segue to uh, the family? You get the crowd participation in regards to calling out their ancestors, those who have transitioned. But how, like, could you paint us a picture on how you would transition from saluting the Nater to bringing it to the family?
Okay, yeah. So to use the Nikemet or the Kemetic tradition, for example, I start off first and foremost, saluting, Neter, father, mother, Neter, the all, right? Nunet, Ra, Ra'it, Su, Tufnut, Heteru, going through all of the Neteru, Peseju, Neteru, Nebu, all of the Neteru, and then from there I would transition into the ancestors, saluting first and foremost Oser Kintiamentiu or Sukari, the Neter that is the king of the spirit realm, Oser foremost or first of the Westerners, okay, and in the tradition, every ancestor that goes on, or every individual that goes on to become an ancestor and is elevated as an ancestor is identified with and assimilated into the Neter Oser. So after we salute Oser Kinti Amintiu, okay, we go on to salute, our ancestors. Maybe if we're in a communal setting, we're beginning with those, ancestors that we share within the community as communal or national heroes. Really, in the community, okay, your community heroes, those that that everyone shares and agrees with, because that's another thing. You know, when we're calling out ancestors, traditionally, you know, there was an examination system to see, okay, whether or not this individual met a particular standard, you know, particular criterion in excellence, you know, according to what the community deems to be ideal. Okay, the ideal member of this society. If the person met that standard, then we would elevate them. So there has to be a consensus amongst the people in the community. So, you know, beginning with those individuals, then we move on to our personal blood relatives. Okay, and we always salute and pay homage to our personal blood relatives before we go on, you know, just talk about, you know, our super heroes and super heroes. Okay, and, you know, that's something that's very important because, you know it's at a lot of events, you know, we'll call out the names of some of those national icons. Okay, you'll hear Malcolm X, you'll hear Elijah Muhammad, you'll hear Marcus Garvey, you'll hear, you know, Sojourner Truth, and Harriet Tubman, and, you know, all of them, you know, definitely, at least from somebody's perspective, is worthy of honor. You know, we might not agree, okay, but from somebody's perspective, they're worthy of honor. But we'll call out those names and we'll exclude Big Mama, you know, Granddaddy, you know, we'll, okay, and just call out the names that everybody knows. And that's not the proper thing to do. That's not in the right order. So I say no spirit is closer to you. No spirit or force is more concerned with you than your blood relatives. And no force will be more ready to assist you and answer your call, blood relatives. Okay? So, you know, the veneration of your bloodline is really important. And, you know, that's one of the things we're gonna go over on the you know, the Ku Kim African Spirituality Clinic on tomorrow. You know, the importance of ancestral veneration and the consequences of ancestral neglect. You know, to put it frank, ancestral veneration is probably the most important, because within a system, you know, a systematic approach to spirituality, in most traditions, you cannot approach the Neteru or the Orisha without first making sure that your ancestors are good. You know, you can't approach the divine without going through your ancestors first. And, you know, in some cultures, they'll even tell you that worship or veneration of your ancestors is more important than the worship of God, according to their culture. And it's a reason for that. You know, we'll delve into it tomorrow, but the important thing. So, you know, after we, you know, go through all of the spiritual forces, you know, we begin with the creator, begin with the source, the creator, you know, forces of nature, then the ancestors that the community shares in common, okay, our personal ancestors, all right? And, you know, you know, this is the thing, in many traditional societies, when you're pouring libations, you don't just stop with the ancestors. Those among you that are living there hold rank, hold, you know, in the collective that you bring, okay, the collective that you come from. So, you know, this is something that once again, it speaks to a real community, a real organized community, you know, a real organized society with a system of protocol and accountability. Do this once again to make sure that when we come together for whatever purposes, we have the spirit realm, positive forces that are present in alignment with
I'm still here, Jake.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow's show, we're going to be that was another part, that was another element I was never told about, about bringing it back in to focus with your own self and the collective that's around you, the living ancestors. I know we always saluted the children, but I didn't know about that other element. So that's an interesting, perspective, and that's something that needs to be, implemented more so because
Yes,
of
sir.
where we're going. We're hoping to achieve, from this family perspective. This is a family. We are a family-oriented people, and we have gotten away from that as of late and started to do other things that are unalike to whom we are in regards to our African cosmology and what would be something that's approved by our ancestors. So definitely we encourage and earnestly solicit the attention of the people to call in to Kuken Radio, and tomorrow is a special broadcast just for the family. You see what I'm saying? All sync from the scheduling of the show. So it's normally the of the month, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you could give us a little snippet of what we're gonna be dealing with. I know you ain't gonna give up all the sauce. Everybody, you got to call in and get the sauce. But can we uh can we lick the bowl, so to speak? You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, well, just a little bit, right? Because I definitely don't want to, do any spoiler, too much of a spoiler. But once again, the name of this, particular episode of Cool Kill Live on Do the Knowledge Radio, this is going to be the importance of reparation and the consequences of ancestral neglect. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to go over much, giving evidence, documentation. I'm going to cite sources, that you can find in the literature of, ancient Kemet, letters to the ancestors, talk about how our ancestors actually venerated their ancestors, okay, and why they did these things, the importance of these things, how important and just how powerful our ancestors are, okay, in the spiritual hierarchy. Okay, we want to talk about that, and talk about the consequences for failing to perform our duty as the priest and priestesses of our ancestral shrine. One thing that is most important, right? Everybody, when everybody looks at let's say a civilization like Kemet, for instance, a lot of times we have this idea in our heads that it was a society full of enlightened, full of highly evolved priests and priestesses. Like everyone there was priests and priestesses and whatnot. And to a certain extent, right, the latter part is true, because even though you may not have been a priest of a particular neter that was in the temple and in charge of a shrine in the temple, each and every individual was definitely responsible for the shrine of their ancestors, especially their mother and their father. Okay, and making sure that the shrine of your mother and father was taken care of. You were the Hamka, okay, the Hamka, or the servant of the Ka, okay, the quote unquote spirit, right? For the our purposes and speaking out, the spirit of your of your ancestors. You were the servant of that particular force. You were the priest. Okay, the priest in the temple was Hamneter. Okay, the servant of the Neter. But you, okay, you're the Hamka. You're the servant of the Ka of your ancestor, of your mother, of your father, of your predecessors. And when we look, the various festivals. Okay, we see several rituals that were done annually to ensure that the spirits of the ancestors were, okay, to make sure that we held off various misfortunes, plagues and pestilence and war and these things. And on a more personal level, we have letters that wrote to their ancestors. And I'm from New Orleans, and that's a common thing here still. Okay, to write a letter to ancestors, petitioning them to intercede on your behalf. Even that letter at the grave of your ancestor with an offering. Okay, this is something that goes back to ancient Kemet, where they left letters to their ancestors. A lot of the time they would write these letters on the bowl, and then place the offering that they're leaving for the ancestor in the bowl, petitioning that ancestor to intercede, help them with the affairs of the family. And it is very telling because, in some instances they apologized and, they had become aware that this particular ancestor was unhappy with them. And because they were unhappy, the harmony in their lives have been disturbed. Okay. So this is a very, very important practice, and once again, that's just from the Nikemet or the Kemetic. We'll go into the Yoruba and what the Yoruba have to say about it, what the Akan have to say about it. What even we're gonna go outside, because some of us want to say, okay, this is some African stuff, and we quote unquote backwards or not with the rest of the world. We're also going to, I'm going to demonstrate from the East Indian perspective, and even, the Asian, whether we're talking Japanese, Chinese, what have you, how, just how important ancestral veneration is, like to the point where even if they don't believe in no religion, they don't mess with Buddhism, they don't do Taoism, they don't do none of that stuff, they don't do Zen, you better believe ancestors. Okay? And even, even those that are coming from a Abrahamic, Judeo-Christian, okay, we're going to show veneration is even present in the Abrahamic traditions. So definitely, especially, in the Judaism or the Hebrew tradition, and also the the Islamic tradition. They even, in Islam, they even offer goats to their ancestors. What? You know what I mean? Say words, son. Yeah, they even offer goats. The Awaliya. Okay, the friends of Allah, who are the deceased that died Muslims and are considered nearer to Allah than those of us that are in the quote unquote carnal flesh. Okay, and you know, how they pray. They are permitted to pray at the grave of their ancestor, okay, to ask their ancestor to intercede or to speak or intercede on their behalf with Allah assistance. You know, we're gonna go through it, man. I say, you know, gonna go through it, and you know, how, you know, this is so important that cause disease, neglect would cause infertility, it would cause, you know, the loss of land, etc., and so on. You know, and even the, you know, I say, you know, the church folks say, you know, father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land. And you know, we've been taught that, you know, that particular sentiment only refers to our direct, you know, immediate mother and father, but in actuality, it's speaking to a practice that includes the veneration and honor of all of our predecessors, and how important that was to maintaining firms that are buried on, okay, land had on, okay, the spirits of the land, and you know, making sure that our roots in the land, literally, okay, or being planted in the land and having longevity in the land, continued, okay, through the veneration of our ancestors. So that's a little bit of what it is that we will, you know, get into on tomorrow, but we want to go into, you know, much more detail.
Yeah, I definitely can concur, and I just thought about it too. You know what I mean? I've been to Mecca twice, and I've been to Sudan. So, you know, understanding that, and you know, performing some, you know, janazas or, you know, Islamic funerals, and attending, you already see what it is. You see, so they pray for the soul of the departed. You know, so they you know, they pray, you know, to their ancestors, and also in some recorded traditions of the prophet, it's recorded as saying that he said, "He who does not thank the people has not thanked Allah." You see what I'm saying? So, you know, putting that, showing that, you know, correlation, and you know, the last day on Hajj or Umrah, you do sacrifice that goat. You see what I'm saying? So, uh, there are things like that, and you know, even with the initiatory rites of Hajj or Umrah, you know what I mean? There's a significance that's there, and saluting to the divine masculine and feminine principle that's there doing the right. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you know, there's a lot to be said there. So definitely, family. I know y'all don't want to miss this comprehensive opportunity, you know, for that exchange, and also to be able to interface live and dialogue with your questions and with your comments for this clinic that's being put on uh, by the brother Aankhu Benu. So, you know, that calling number for tomorrow is 515-605-9360. Again, that's 515-605-9360. And press 1 with your questions or your comments for this magnificent show in this clinic that's being put on tomorrow. If you could take a few minutes and let us know some of the things that you have coming up 2017, and I know you're going to speak to that tomorrow, and also just, you know, a few gems on the focal point and the direction for us as a people going forward 2017.
Okay, all right, no doubt. Um, Coming up immediately, right? We're gonna, let's just say, it's gonna be a whole lot of teaching. We're gonna be teaching hard, and you know, it's important, man, because things that we see, you know, taking place in the community, really the lack thereof. We need to establish communities, strong communities that are brought together, and establish and implement strong culture. And within that culture, we have to have standards and ideals. We have to have protocols and a system of accountability, okay, established in that community, in these communities, okay. Because I'm not of the, of the perspective that we, just going to come together in one thing, under the king of the king of the RBG or whatever. We're going to have to, to establish communities with those of like mind and implement culture, and then establish communal alliances, alliances with other communities and other quote unquote leaders, okay, in order to achieve the things that we have to achieve to go forward as a people. So one of the first things that I have coming up, is a Nile Valley culture lecture series that's going to take place here in the New Orleans area. To be exact, Harvey, Louisiana, but it's all New Orleans down here. At the Kush site, 2030 Woodmere Boulevard. Okay, shout out to the Kushites, and shout out to the good brother Tino Blaine King, Corey, first Corey of the Kush. Okay, and the work and efforts that he's putting forth down there, boots on the ground down here. So we're gonna implement and carry out a 6-week lecture series on Nile Valley culture, demonstrating how Nile Valley culture, African culture. Okay, if we want a model of what a Pan-African state or what a United States of Africa, looks like. Okay, the Nile Valley gives us with the first example that we have on record. Okay, the first example of what such a community and federated state, 42 states, okay, 42 African states of various, African groups, okay, and tribes coming together to form this nation. This is what the Nile Valley, gives to us. All right, so we're going to delve into the culture, and we're going to demonstrate how this culture is Pan-African, how, all of the, go into the various African peoples today. Okay, the Yoruba, the Akan, okay, the Nguni people, Southern Africa, okay, the Kalenjin people. We're going to go, into the various, as many as we can, of the oral traditions and histories of the people, and how they, in their own traditions and histories, trace their lineage, back to the Nile Valley. They say that their ancestors came from the Nile Valley. So, when we look at it, okay, we're going to also demonstrate how the Nile Valley culture can serve as a vehicle for African people today together, irrespective of language, because we're going to demonstrate how the Medunitaire language is also, is and has always been a umbrella language, a lingua franca, that's used to unite several language groups, okay? And how many of these African languages today, in their lineage, they're either a relative or a descendant of the Medunitaire language, or what the ancestor Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Benga, the great elder, refers to as a the Negro Egyptian language family. Okay, so we're gonna demonstrate that for African people, especially those of us in the diaspora who are a mixture, okay, of many different African groups, okay, with a result of many different African nations, okay, how the Nile Valley, you know, serves as the perfect vehicle, the perfect culture for us to you know, to reclaim, okay, of the, how you say, the lineage that all of the different groups on the continent hold with the Nile Valley. Because the fact that the traditions and the cosmologies, we even see some of the same deities, the Neteru and the Orisha, the exact same deity by the same name in some instances. Okay, how this tradition it serves as the perfect vehicle for us, for those of us that these mixed lineages, for those of us that sure, right, which tradition we should claim, you know, of all of the various Africans that make us up, which language we should reclaim and learn out of all of the Africans that make us up. So, you know, we're gonna demonstrate, you know, Nile Valley culture, go deep into the culture, and you know, out of it, you know, we like to organize a few cultural and social societies, men's societies, women's societies, you know, to organize our people, to educate and empower our people, using our culture as a vehicle towards our liberation. Okay, so that's what this particular 6-week seminar, 6-week lecture series is about. Culture lecture series at the Kushite Cultural Center here in Guyana. Okay, and you know, it's for 6 weeks, every 2 weeks on Saturday. Okay, beginning January the 21st through April the 1st. All right, and you know, that's one of the immediate things that we have coming up. So you know, after this, you know, we're getting ready for, you know, of course, we're going on our annual pilgrimage to Kemet, the Kukim Kemet Tour, you know, 2017, African pilgrimage, exploring the Kemetic tradition in its African context. You know, this is not one that you want to miss, you know, as far as understanding Nile Valley culture, understanding Nile Valley spirituality, practicing it, okay, implementing it, utilizing it for our empowerment and for our liberation, to organize us. Okay, this is what this particular tour and pilgrimage is about. You know, we connect, you know, we got elders on the ground there in the Nubian village that we sit at their feet. Okay, and they're you know, extremely generous with the information, sharing aspects of the history and the tradition that, you know, they still practice from the beginning, and they still hold to it. You know, sharing information that you're not going to get from you know, a history book or an Egyptologist. Okay, right? You're not going to see it on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel. No, this is coming directly from the elders, directly from the priests. Okay, in the Nubian villages. And, you know, we're going to spend, actually, you know, the entire pilgrimage is 12 days, 12 nights. Okay, and we're, you know, 3 of those nights we're going to spend in the Nubian village, eating with the, you know, eating and breaking bread with the family there, and learning from the elders there. So definitely, you know, if you can make that, you want to make sure that you're there for that experience. Okay, so besides that, you know, we have you know, in February I'm supposed to be you know, out in Louisville doing an event with you know, with my brothers, you know, the Real Empire. Shout out to, you know, Intense Raheem. Shout out to my brother Israel Shabazz. Okay, we're going to be doing an event out there, and also have an event, coming up with the good brother, the Black Power Ranger here in New Orleans. Stay tuned for that. So yeah. It's a lot going on, man. Like I said, we're going to be teaching hard. Shout out to Henensu, Henensu family. Shout out to Repat Nation. Repat Nation is a situation.
Well, so I definitely thank you for your time and making it plain. Again, we definitely encourage everybody to call in tomorrow to this magnificent clinic that's being put on for us to reconnect and for us to reconcile with our ancestral forces, reacclimate ourselves with our traditions, our proper customs and courtesies, and adherence to ancestral protocol, and establishing strong families, which lead to strong communities and a strong nation and the international that we need to return to a global sense, a global African. Uh, so we know the things that we do not only affect our families, but the lineage of our ancestors and also our future legacy, through our returning ancestors and our children. So definitely thank you for, your time, my brother, and, definitely look forward to hearing that wonderful offering on tomorrow.
All right, no doubt. I appreciate you, brother, for inviting me on your platform. Beautiful platform. And I will that the people putting in understand just how important this is, the work that you're putting in, and that we don't squander it and take it for granted. Definitely. Okay, so special thanks once again, brother.
All right. Appreciate the family listening. The archives will be up shortly. We're about to go live in a few minutes with the other half, Tahir RBG, and then in a few minutes after that, Lone Star RBG. So we got the schedule packed tight for the family, so you don't want to miss anything that's going on. So with that, I'm going to say peace, love, black power, and African liberation.
Peace.